Welcome back, everybody. I'm Lexi, and today I am going to be making a paperback instead of a hardback. I have had a few requests for a tutorial on two different things to do with my making paperbacks. Someone wanted to know the double fan method for gluing the spine, and another person wanted me to explain how I use glue sticks to go in the spine instead of the hot melt glue strips that go with the hot melt binder. I just find that glue sticks are quite a bit cheaper and they work just as well, so I tend to do that instead. So for right now, you're going to need your fan fiction. Today, this is A Court of Mist and Fury in Rhysand's Point of View by Illyrian Tremors. You're going to need it printed out. Keep it in your signatures. And we're going to fold the signatures as if we were going to sew it together as normal. So just go through and fold your signatures first. I'm so sorry for the noise in the background. Right outside the window right here is the neighbors running a extremely loud generator to use to paint their house. So I'm going to try to do as much as I can without talking, and the rest I will put music to. So now that we've got all of our signatures folded, sometimes I press for maybe 20 minutes. It's not really necessary. What I'm going to do is take this into my guillotine and put it in and chop it right here. Obviously it's going to stand up straight, but I'm going to chop off these folded edges. Just barely cut into it, just enough to, probably about a millimeter, just to cut off into each page. And I will be right back. Now that I have cut the edge off of my book, I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, fold it in half, and cut that to just add to it. So now that I've got it all set up, I want it all even. Make sure that this entire plane is flat. And then you're going to want to take your book press. You can use your regular book press for this. However, I have 3D printed this. It's a vise and I've made it a lot bigger. And then I 3D printed these little flat things. I kind of like jerry-rigged it. So I'm going to press it like this. You want to leave about 3 or 4 inches out. I'll show you how you want it. So when you put it on your press, make sure you keep the bottom part, the spine part, against the table to make sure it's completely flat. And then you're going to leave it mostly out of the press. Make sure the edges are even too. You don't want it like this. Okay, we're gonna make it tight. Now we've got about 3 to 4 inches sticking out of our press. And now we're going to need our glue and a brush. Okay, now that we have our book pressed, we are going to remember, everything that I use that you can buy off Amazon is linked in the description below. I'm going to use my silicone brush for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend these pages and kind of fan them out. And then put the glue on them like that. Make sure that you get all the way to the edge and get that piece of cardstock in there as well. You're going to end up with a lot of glue on your spine, which is fine. We're going to want that because it makes it sturdier. Now that we've got all that, we're going to let it go. We're going to flip this around. And we're going to push it this way and do the same thing. It's okay if your pages are kind of separating at this stage, just because we're going to be fixing that here in a minute. So now you're going to want clamps for this part, and either a piece of bookboard, 2 pieces of bookboard, or I have a couple more 3D printed pieces, but you can literally just use 2 pieces of bookboard. You're going to want to put it on either side, almost to the top because we don't want glue all over it. Press it together, and then we're going to clamp as tightly as possible. These 6-inch clamps I got from Harbor Freight, and they were only like $2.50 each. They're a great investment for doing paperbacks. So now we have all of our glue that's kind of modeled on the top. We're going to go through and put a decent layer on top of the whole thing. We kind of want it really built up. Ooh, we don't want dripping glue. PVA glue dries really fast, so I'm not worried about the glue time or the glue drying time. I'm going to clean up this spill of glue. And you see how my pages are kind of wavy at the top? I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my bookboards up just a tiny bit. And that should fix that issue. Just as close to the top as you can get them. Without touching the glue. So as you can see, yes, there are still little waves in it, but it's fine. It's not going to cause an issue, just as long as there aren't really big ones like there just were. So we're going to set this aside and let this dry. It's going to take probably about an hour. So I'll see you back when it's dried. As we wait for this to dry, a great thing to do would be to get your cover made and laminated. So that's what I'm going to do now. So here I am on Canva, and I have a blank 17 by 11 inch design up and ready. I'm going to make sure that I have my guides turned on. So file, setting, show rulers and guides needs to be checked. And now you have the rulers. And the great thing about having rulers and guides is because we can make little guidelines. So I'm going to go to Elements and just use a blank square. And I'm going to make the spine, which is 0.875 inches. And then the height is going to be 8.25. And I'm going to put that exactly in the middle of my page. And now I'm going to bring a guide from this side and put it there, this side and put it there, from the top and there. And now we're going to make the front and the back cover. So because it's a paperback, I don't have to worry about making room for hinges. So I'm just going to do 5.25 width and put it on either side. And then get rid of this square. So now the best thing to do is go to File, Settings, Lock Guides. That way I'm not accidentally clicking one and moving it and it's now become part of the page. If you were to print this, the guides would not be there. They would not show up. These are literally just guides. I have a bunch of artwork uploaded to my Canva that I have found on Google. And I want to find a really good picture to be able to use as a cover. I think I have some way down here. So I like both of these as a cover. But I want it to extend onto the back as well. So I'm going to see if Canva is able to expand it into anything good. So we're going to use this one. I don't need it full page. That is literally just a big waste of ink. I just need it a little bit bigger than the guides. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to have the words and stuff on it in foil. So we're going to write them out in Grand Central. Okay, now that I have the words, I'm going to duplicate this page. On the second page, I'm going to delete the background and just leave the overlay. This part is going to be printed in toner so that I can foil it. And then I'm going to delete the words off of this page so that I can print the background, which I will explain here in a minute. So I'm going to download them, and I like to download in PDF print in CMYK. Now that it has printed off the background picture, I need to run it through the laser printer for the toner overlay. So as you can see, it has now printed over top of the picture. It has printed the words in toner so that we can foil. So I'm going to get my foil out. As I've stated before, I get all of my foil now off of AliExpress. It is just as good quality as buying it from all these other more expensive companies. It only takes a week to get here, like literally 7 days, 8 at the most. It's worth the wait to get 120 meters for $18.95 instead of paying $7.50 plus shipping for 5 meters. Now that it has come out of the ink, this is probably my favorite part of foiling. I love ripping it off and seeing the pretty. Oh, it left a couple extra, but it really doesn't matter. So now we've got it foiled. We're going to put it in our lamination sheet. And I put it in upside down because I'm going to get 2 blank pieces of paper. So now that I have 2 blank pieces of paper, I'm going to layer them on the back. And the reason I'm doing this is because I do not want the back of this to be laminated. So now that it's laminated, I'm going to cut it out. What I want to do is I want to keep the edges on the width, but I can cut down the edges on the sides. And that is because when I put it into the binding machine, and the glue melts, the glue is going to come out just a tiny bit out of the sides from under the text block from where it melts. And I want there to be an overhang to be able to catch that so that it doesn't go onto the binding machine. And now we're going to peel off the back and get rid of it. So as you can see, because we took the back off, it is all curled up. There's like a scientific explanation for that. Something about like where it got hot and attached itself and then cooled off. It does that. Anyway, I am not the one to explain it because I do not know. But I'm going to grab a couple rubber bands, about 4 of them. I'm going to grab a couple rubber bands, about 4 of them. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to roll it this way. And I'm going to slip a rubber band on this side to the middle. On the edge, turn it around. And I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to leave it until our glue dries completely on our text block. It's still drying. It's got probably another half hour and I will be back then. Okay, so for the most part our glue is dry, so we can move on to the next step. I'm going to unclamp my book and put my clamps up. Put that off to the side, unroll my cover. And so yes, right now it is curved in. It will fix itself because it's going to try to curve out again. So very quickly it's going to be flat. And so now what I need to do is I need a pencil. And just like I do with the book board and putting the cover on our book board, I'm going to hold it up to the light and kind of center it. And then I'm going to trace. And make sure. Okay, so now that I've traced and made sure it was right, I'm going to put it like this. Kind of line it up. And then half fold it, like make a half folding line, and then fold on that line, but make sure the edges stay even so that you know you're folding straight. And then use your bone folder. And then do it again. Work with me. Now we've got, I did it a little off. It's okay, I'm not that worried about it. You can even see I was off. But it's okay. So now we've got it folded. So next, we're going to need double-sided tape and our cut in half glue sticks. I'm going to line the spine with double-sided tape. And peel it off. And then I'm going to take these cut in half glue sticks and layer them. Make sure I put it in there properly. Pull out my binding machine, turn it on, and let it warm up. Once your machine is warmed up, you want to push the select button 2 times, because when both of them are lit up, that means it is number 3, and you want it to be as warm as possible. And you're going to take your book and put it right in there. And you're going to leave it for probably 30 seconds, and then you're going to start pushing down your text block. But you have to give it time to melt the glue. You'll know it's melted enough when you push down your text block and you can see the glue sticks melting on the side. And you'll be able to squish it down and it'll squish some glue out of the sides. show you a little. You can see how the glue is coming out on the side. It's kind of like bubbling. And on that side. Once it's in there good, I'm going to put it off to the side and let it cool. Turn it off. A lot of times I will go stick this in front of my air conditioner to let it really cool. So we'll let it cool for about 10 minutes. Okay, so our book is done drying. And I'm going to take scissors and kind of trim down just a little bit because my guillotine doesn't like it if there's like one page that it just, I don't know how to explain it, if one page is just longer than the others. So I'm going to trim it down. Now I'm going to take it to the guillotine and I'm going to chop the edges off. Be right back. So I was in a hurry and cut it just a tad shorter than I meant to, but it's still completely fine. We have our book. It's in there really good. You can even crack the spine. I don't want to because I will probably give this as a gift. But there's our book. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you on the next video.